Hi, I'm Dave Camlin and my presentation is entitled Encounters with Participatory Music, and this is based around research I've been undertaking mainly with students for a book chapter in a forthcoming OUP book entitled The Chamber Musician in the 21st Century. So the students involved in the research all come from the Royal College of Music in West London, where I teach part-time, and the purpose of the research is to understand the impact that encounters with participatory music have on these students in terms of their development as performing musicians. There are three data sources involved in the research: participant questionnaire, a focus group, and a prioritisation exercise undertaken within the focus group. The participant questionnaire had 9 responses, 4 undergraduates, 2 postgraduates and 3 community musicians. The questions were all open-ended. 6 of the questionnaire respondents were then further involved in a focus group discussion. Before the focus group, the collated questionnaire responses were anonymised and circulated around the group so that everyone had the opportunity to read about each other's experiences. During the focus group, the group discussed the questionnaire responses and identified significant themes that they saw emerging and prioritised these in terms of their significance. So an initial set of themes was developed through this focus group prioritisation activity, which coalesced around 3 broad categories to do with situational factors, professional attributes, and diversity and representation. These themes were then used to analyse both the questionnaire responses and a transcription of the focus group discussion itself. The data that were uncoded following this first round of analysis were then subject to a second round of analysis through a more inductive approach. These themes were then combined into an overall concept map of 5 broad categories. The epistemological issues centred around notions of quality, and for students from a conservatoire background steeped in the culture of perfectionism, being able to think differently about musical quality in order to engage authentically and effectively in community and participatory settings was important. Because no two settings are the same, the sheer complexity of what constitutes them requires a lot of thinking around it, especially in terms of the different kinds of relationships at play between participants and performers and audience and other workers and carers and all of the individuals involved, different power and hierarchical structures, different kind of purposes that might be at play in particular situations. There are clearly many ways in which this kind of work can have an impact on practitioners, some of which are paramusical. There were clear musical benefits for students involved in this kind of work as well, in terms of developing improvisational skills, developing oral memory, and threaded through all of this, notions of diversity and representation. That this shift somehow from more monologic ideas about musical development to more dialogic frameworks where the unique contribution of every individual is accounted and there's this real celebration of what every individual can bring. For some students that was deeply empowering in terms of making sense of and understanding their own experience, and also highlighting some of the challenges that students may face in terms of neurodiversity, for example. So there are a number of interesting themes and ideas to tease out here. Firstly, this question of the epistemological challenges. How do musicians think differently about music and musical quality in order to engage effectively and authentically in participatory settings? One expressed it like this: but how do musicians make these attitudinal shifts, these changes, these epistemological shifts in assumptions and values? Clearly participating in the activity is part of the process of making those shifts. One of them said, "It's given me an awareness of the importance of knowing how others see music and that everyone experiences music differently. Trying to understand that creates a better experience for all involved." So developing a holistic understanding of music and its potential. There are clear benefits to musicianship from being involved in terms of improvisational skills and aural memory, but also the psychological aspects of music making, improving confidence from being involved in more relaxed contexts of music making, and bringing some of that sense of fun into more presentational contexts, as well as the benefits for emotional communication through music. Participatory music has helped me to connect emotionally with audiences in my performances rather than always focusing on delivering a technically perfect performance. As well as the musical benefits, there are clear paramusical benefits, the sense of social connection that people have from engaging in this work, the way that this work inspires people, but also notions of mutual recovery, and particularly for students that have come through a conservatoire training and the highly pressurised environment of that, being involved in participatory work can be effectively a way of recovering some of their own mental health, which they may have felt has been compromised through that intense experience of conservatoire training. One respondent said, "Being part of these projects has allowed me to see the fun in music again. I've had the chance to see people playing or using their voices in uninhibited ways, even under challenging circumstances and within the context of complicated lives." With one musician going so far as to say, "It feels like it completes me as a musician." So this sense that engaging in participatory music opens up this whole world where we begin to understand the full complexity of music's power and what we can do as musicians to be part of that sense of what music can do. So perhaps one of the most potent benefits that arise from these encounters with participatory music is the opportunities that they afford for developing notions of human solidarity, that through the collective act of making music together, that people can find more purpose and meaning in their lives. And that applies to the musicians involved as much as it does to the participants. I'll leave the final word to one of the respondents who said, "Engaging in participatory music not only makes you a better musician, but it makes you a better musician by making you a better person." Thank you.